Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Outsource Advantage, the show where we help you understand how outsourcing can give your organization an advantage. Today's episode, we're going to take a bit of a departure from our normal guest. We're not featuring an industry expert, a support services partner, a technology company. What we're actually doing is bringing on a gentleman by the name of Will Hawkins, who's actually HHS Zone Director of Brand and Creative. Will's been with HHS for 7 years now. He started back as a junior graphic designer and really worked his way up throughout the organization to lead all things from a branding and creative perspective for us. I'm really excited to bring him on today because last week, Will spent the entire week going through our culinary director training. And I'm really excited to hear how the week went for him. Will, welcome to the show.
Hey, Derek. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited as well. Why don't we jump right in? Really what I wanted to hear first is what were your initial expectations going in? And by the end of it, did anything change with you?
Yeah, I went into the culinary director training with only a general idea of what to expect. But one thing I did know for certain was that my comfort was going to be challenged. I knew my takeaway from the experience would correlate with the effort that I put into it. So knowing that, I went all in once I got there. So I expected to learn the basics of our culinary operation, but overall, the training has reshaped my understanding and appreciation of the whole culinary operations. It was a really great experience.
That's great. What started out as a punishment for you, no, I'm just kidding. So in those same lines, give us an overview of what a week in HHS culinary training really looks like. Like, for example, were you in the kitchen all day, every day, or were there other aspects to it?
I thought I would be in the kitchen all day, every day, but once we got there, the person overseeing all of the training, Tanya, the market director there, she made it very, very apparent that it wasn't going to be an all theory kind of training. I really did get a taste of every single aspect, but roughly what it looked like, we had the expectations call the Friday before the week of training. That Sunday was a travel day, but then Monday through Thursday, it was about 7 a.m. to about 6 or 7 p.m. So we were there for about 11 hours or so. Each day, like I said, covered a different part of the business, primarily hands-on training, where we were in the kitchen, the retail space, on the production line, or moving throughout the hospital, rounding with patients. The focus was for us to be hands-on with some classroom sessions.
Oh, that's great. My favorite thing about you going there was actually how you were engaging on LinkedIn during the training there, kind of either, when you had pockets in your 11 to 12-hour day. Why did you want to share your experience on LinkedIn like that?
Well, yeah, you mentioned pockets throughout the day. I actually, when I got home or when I got back to the hotel about 8 o'clock at night, I'd eat, take a breath, and then be working on those videos for a few hours, actually. I went to bed at 1 a.m. multiple nights and then would have to get back up and do it all over again. But that's probably a little bit of what it feels like to actually be an ops is
Right.
they have work to do after, especially if you're the executive chef or in some kind of managerial position. But yeah, overall, I really wanted to document my experience on LinkedIn for a couple reasons. One of them was to hold myself accountable for making the most out of the experience. The other one was raising awareness for what our culinary and nutrition teams do on a daily basis. That was a big part of why I wanted to be there, is to get that understanding. So unless you have worked or spent time in operations, you really don't know what their day-to-day looks like. Not everybody can experience this firsthand, and so I aim to be a bridge, if you will, for others to be able to experience it through me.
Yeah, that's great. And talking on that, I'm sure there's a few moments that you're going to think of, but can you share a specific moment or lesson or two from the training that kind of really stood out to you or made an impression on you now that you've been back home for a couple days?
One of the moments that has really stood out to me was Chef Blake, who's the executive chef there, oversees all of the kitchen operations. He demonstrated a moment where humility made space for collaboration. And what I mean by that is we were preparing for a catering event, one of the largest that they have in the year. We were moving on to build fruit trays, and it was going to be a 3-tiered setup. And so he had an initial idea of what he wanted to do, but then he quickly found that it wasn't going to work the way he thought. And so he's the executive chef, the person running the kitchen. He has 5 trainees standing there in front of him, looking at him for direction. And he says, "I don't know what I'm doing." And so we all were like, okay, what do we do? Uh, and so I guess not all chefs are like that. Not all chefs would admit that. I think most leaders wouldn't admit that. He's done thousands of these, and just at that moment, he just froze. And we jokingly called it glitching, like a video game. And I had a moment similar to that earlier the day before. But we've all been there. And so what I think stood out to me was, instead of him trying to keep that inside, not admit it, trying to just muscle through to maintain some kind of image, especially with all of us there relying on him, he was humble enough and honest enough to speak that out loud and admit that he needed help. So his willingness to be vulnerable and to seek help from the team, it removed barriers, and it allowed us to collaborate effectively to find a solution. So his humility made space for collaboration. And then the fruit trays ended up looking really great, and we were all better for that whole experience.
Nice. You know, it's interesting. I don't think that a lot of people in your position today, have the ability, the bandwidth, or desire to really go through culinary training like you went through. And while you're giving us a taste, and it sounds like 11 to 12 hours a day, off the cuff is long, but I know you're kind of glossing over how detailed every single day is. But, coming out of that, how do you think that experience would actually impact your day in, day out job as HHS's brand and creative director?
Yeah, I think the context I now have, the understanding, I think there's a level of empathy with me going through it. I'm making connections that I hadn't made before, because I've seen the resources, the materials, the needs, the challenges they have firsthand. I now can take that back to our team and sit there and ideate and come up with new, fresh content ideas, new materials that they might need. Just be able to create things to help them do their job better, because they're so busy on a day-to-day. I think having that, me bridging that gap in my knowledge and understanding and experience, is really going to help me to be able to deliver a better service for them.
Yeah, that's amazing. I can't imagine how much just having that, even though it was a week, is going to impact kind of how you go about leading your team too, of designers and creative folks.
Yeah.
Well, switching gears a little bit, in your 7 years here at HHS, can you talk to something that you're most proud of achieving in your role, or various roles along the way?
The thing I'm most proud of is what we've been able to do within our culinary spaces, particularly around the development and the branding, the visual identity around our core retail concepts, and then our signature concepts, core being the standard that you'd have, your grills, your pizza, sandwiches, those kinds of things. The signatures are more of those unique concepts that bring excitement and variety into the menu. So I get to see and build that from the very beginning. I can help with naming, logo identity, the visual design, the menu design. But then I think the most rewarding part of what I do is being able to go into a hospital cafeteria, retail cafeteria, like I did at the training facility, and be able to see all of that on display. So the thing I'm most proud of is all of the work we've been able to do over the past few years to redefine, refresh, revitalize our retail spaces. So that way our customers just have this restaurant type of experience within the hospital.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I've spoken previously, both in blogs on LinkedIn, and obviously anytime I can evangelize this is, really our jobs, whether it's at the HHS or any of our competitors, is really to change and remove the stigma from healthcare food, right? And retail cafeterias. And I think one of the things that is often overlooked is not just the quality of the food, the taste, the healthiness, but the brand behind it. And I think, at least for us at HHS, you've had a tremendous impact on how we've been able to do that. And so I agree with your comment about what you're most proud of. If I was in your shoes, I would be too. Pretty neat to see that when you walk in.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The teams are great, so I love that collaboration. It's been really fun to work on all this.
Tell me something you're passionate about outside of work, besides
As you know,
cat herding.
I'm not a cat guy. Sorry, everybody out there. As you know, I love playing golf. That's something I've picked up in the past 2 years. So outside of work, you can find me on a golf course. You can find me hanging out with my friends, or spending time with my wife, bebopping, as she would say, around Austin, trying restaurants and happy hours. we're foodies. She's a dietitian, and I have the food and nutrition background as well. So we both love food. Maybe that's why I love all the culinary stuff that we do so much. Is it's just that background. But yeah, those are the things I'm into.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you coming on, Will. Happy that we were able to share your experience out to our audience. And thank you,
Mhm.
everyone, for tuning in to the Outsource Advantage. If you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. And if you have any interest in any upcoming guests, please comment. Happy to reach out to those individuals to try to get them scheduled. Hope you all have a great week. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Will.
Yep. See y'all.